Welcome to Bigfoot Society. In this episode, I have a 10-minute teaser for you for today's member-only episode where I talk to Brian Terrell from Red Dirt Cryptid Investigations about his wild Dogman and Bigfoot encounters and more that he's had in the great state of Oklahoma. You don't want to miss this one, and it's just for the members. So thank you for Patreon supporters and YouTube channel members. And let's get on with the show.
My buddy Coleman and I, we were walking in the rain like dingbats. We were out looking and searching in the rain, and we was just walking along this trail, and something just told me, you need to turn around and look back the way that you came. And so I took about a half a step backwards and I looked back the way we came. And that's when I saw it. I saw this head leaning out from behind a tree. And it was kind of oblong shape, which kind of made me think it kind of had a conical head, but it's kind of hard to tell. But it's leaning out. It's looking. And at first, I was just like, oh my gosh, it just kind of took my breath away. And I was like, wow. And I'm sitting here thinking all this stuff and I'm like, that's really it. That's really it. I'm seeing one. It's right there. It's right there. And then the thought crossed my mind. It's like, man, I want Coleman to see this. I want Coleman to see this. So I was like, Coleman, I need you to come over here real quick. And Coleman comes over there and he's like, what's up? And I'm like, I need you to pretend like you're talking to me. But what you're going to do is you're going to look over my left shoulder and you're going to look just past my ear. But you're going to pretend like you're looking at me and we're going to keep talking like we're just chatting it up. He's like, okay. I said, you see those two big trees over there? And he goes, yeah. And I go, do you see the head leaning out? And he's like, no, I don't. Oh, yeah, I see it. And you could just kind of see his eyes open up a little bit. And when he's sitting there and he's looking at it too, and neither one of us are even thinking about our cell phones or anything. It's just like, wow, it's like, there it is. There's one really right there. And so we kind of like watched it for a few minutes, but then I don't know, I just couldn't resist. And I ended up turning around trying to look again. And that's when it disappeared. And I actually saw it, pull back behind the tree once. And so I saw it move. And that's what I was just like, oh my gosh. Well, anyway, it was so cool. It was just so cool getting to see it. But we ended up going back out there the next day. And so we went and we stood where we were. And then my buddy Jeff goes over there and stands where this thing was behind this tree. And this is the part that freaked me out. We took a laser rangefinder and we ranged it out at 120 yards. So it was like the length of a football field. And I still, to this day, I don't think it was that far. But this thing was so tall, I could barely see Jeff, over there. And when Jeff lifted his hand all the way up in the air, it was barely up there where we could see it, which means this thing, and Jeff is like 6 foot tall. And this thing literally had to have been 10 foot tall. It was a beast. It was massive. It was huge. And I think that's part of the reason why in my head, I thought it was a lot closer than what it was. It was further away. It was just really big. And I think that's the fact that there was a little bit more distance to it than what I thought. I think that's why I couldn't get a whole lot of detail. You know what I mean? But still, I don't know. It was, I feel very fortunate to have actually gotten to see that. And that was really exciting. That actually happened at Hayburn Lake, and they're south west of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And that was probably about a year ago. And but man, that was a thrill, to say the least. You live for stuff like that, So
I can't. I don't know how I would I would respond to that, but I mean, hats off to you for being able to handle that so easily, and so your buddy was able to see it as well. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Over the years, have you been able to talk to any, I guess you would say law enforcement officials or forestry workers or whatever the equivalent is called down in Oklahoma about cryptids or?
You know, it's kind of interesting that I personally have not had any law enforcement friends or people that I know that that are actually, like knowers. I have met, I wouldn't call them my friends, but I've been introduced to two different individuals, and I'm not going to mention their names or what state parks they work at, but both of them were state of Oklahoma parks and recreation rangers, right? And they were both knowers. One of them, he was a very nice guy. He saw my Bigfoot sticker on my car, struck up a conversation, gave me his business card. He said that he knew that they existed. He'd seen them before, and he was just real open and friendly about it. But I know that that's probably kind of unusual for that now for one of those guys to just talk to a stranger and tell him. But he was pretty confident. He said, I know for a fact that there's not any of these creatures at this state park. And the funny thing is I've actually gotten reports from the state park that he was working at, and he was apparently not aware of them. But I didn't want to contradict him. And the other one was a fellow that I was introduced to, who is a park ranger, and I was introduced to him via third party, and he's a knower too. And I'm not going to tell his story or how he knows, because there are a few people that know who he is, and I think it's kind of brought him some grief. So just to be professional and not bring them out. But yeah, I've met two of them who are knowers, but they're not really super talkative about it, and they definitely don't want to go public about it. But as far as like any law enforcement officers, no. But on the flip side, the former head of the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigations, I believe his name is Mr. Pratt. I can't remember his first name now. Met him one time. He's a knower. And he was a very high-ranking official within the state of Oklahoma. I mean, he was the head of the OSBI. That's basically like, I don't know, NCIS or whatever the TV show is going right now. He was the head for the whole state, and he's a knower. So, Henry Pratt, I think is his name. Super smart dude. I mean, but there are people within the state that hold those positions that they're knowers, but they don't talk about it as much. It usually just brings you nothing but grief when you come out of the closet. You know what I'm saying? So,
is that Harvey Pratt?
Harvey, yes,
because that's the guy who did the drawings in David Paulides' book, right?
Yeah,
I think it's the same dude.
Yeah, he's
that dude. That's interesting.
Oh yeah, he's probably the I don't know, most famous law enforcement person that I've ever heard of. That's a knower. So, and I think that's enough. I mean, he's about as far up there as you can go. He was a big dog before he retired. and he's a very friendly man. So at least he impressed me. So, but anyway, yeah, I'm sure there's others. I'm sure there are. It's just, who do you know, they're not coming out and talking. You've got that phenomenon. They just don't talk. Oklahoma's tight-lipped anyway, and it's just the stigma. It's the stigma that surrounds it. These people, these law enforcement individuals, their judgment is everything for them, because if they're crazy or deemed incompetent, that their testimony is worthless, and their testimony is probably their most important thing. So they have to maintain that higher level of integrity, and they probably guard it much more protected than most people, your average Joe, would. So
just want to take a few minutes to say thank you to you, all my listeners, for listening to the podcast. Please take a minute to help out the show by subscribing on YouTube, making sure you hit the bell so you don't miss any notifications, and share the episode on YouTube with a friend. Also, if you're listening to us on a podcast, thank you so much. Make sure that you're subscribed, share the show with a friend. Really, it's all about sharing the show wherever you can. If you've had a Bigfoot encounter related to the following or know someone who has, please reach out to me at bigfootsociety@gmail.com or pass on my email. Here's a list. All right, I'm going to use this space this week to announce that I'll be at the Sasquatch Summerfest in Oak Ridge, Oregon as an attender. I won't be presenting or anything, but I'll be hanging out, trying to interview people that have had Bigfoot encounters. If you're from the Oak Ridge, Oregon area or surrounding and you've had a Bigfoot experience, please contact me directly, bigfootsociety@gmail.com. Also, Priscilla was nice enough that if you get your tickets through SasquatchSummerfest.com and use code BigfootSociety, you can get 50% off the cost of your tickets, which is a big amount. So code Bigfoot Society to get 50% off your tickets, SasquatchSummerfest.com, and helps out the podcast as well. A special thank you to all the Bigfoot Society Patreon and YouTube channel members. It's your support that helps keep the show going, and I extremely appreciate it. One more thing. Okay, here's the deal. So we're at the point, guys, where there's no stopping us. We are going to full-time podcast no matter what, but I need your help to get there. I figured it out, and we need approximately 700 more people in the Patreon in order to reach our goal of going full-time, actually able to go to places, people that have been having Bigfoot activity, interview them face-to-face, check it out for myself, all that good stuff. If you guys can, guys, this is the time. If you can at any time become a supporting member of the Bigfoot Society, go to patreon.com/the Bigfoot Society. I would appreciate it. It's going to help us get to the next level, pretty much the final level. You guys are amazing for listening. If you can't become a supporting member, please share this episode everywhere you can. Share it with anyone who's into Bigfoot encounters, and that means a world to me as well. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.
As of April 7th, the supporter level is 7 out of 700 or 1%.